Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs Podcast. We're your hosts, Dan and Andy. Andy, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, thank you. How about you?
Good. It's November 7th, 2022. We're in Season 3, Episode 51. Last episode of the year.
For sports, yes.
For the sports side, this will be the last one. We'll be on Season 4 next year, next week when we do the same show. We'll have the anniversary here coming up this week of our Sports and Songs podcast. So this is the last episode of this season. New one will start fresh next time. We've got a lot to cover today.
A whole bunch.
Andy, guess what hat I'm wearing?
I see the world champions.
We can start that first.
Yes.
But let's start with the trivia question.
Yes.
Houston Astros, of course, here won the World Series this week in what, 6 games?
6. I called 5. It was 6.
You were close, almost right on the money. Houston did win it. I'm going to have a trivia question that pertains to the Astros.
Right,
This week's trivia question is, the Astros have a mascot.
There he is.
A little-known mascot. And the question is, not many people know the mascot for the Houston Astros. The trivia question is, what is its name? What's its name? He has a name. Or it has a name.
Looks like a cross between Grover and Baby Yoda.
Exactly.
All right.
We'll come back to it at the end of the show, but that's the trivia question. Do your homework. The Astros mascot. I picked it because I got a feeling most people do not know this, as I didn't myself until I did the research today, working with our staff to come up with the question with the whole team of interns.
I suppose Kevin knew it right away, probably.
Kevin, yeah. Kevin's good.
That way.
He's one of our best interns. He does a lot. All right, let's start with some football.
Yeah, so we're going right into the high schools. If you can get my share screen up there, sir.
Here we go. I'm going to go silent here.
All right. Appreciate that. I mean, yeah.
Whoops. You said it out loud.
Did I say it? Sorry. Okay, here we go. Minnesota State High School Football League. They're what's considered the state tournament now. Just to correct everything. They're in the state tournament round. Prep Bowl is the championship game, December 2nd and 3rd.
Yep.
It's kind of deceiving because state tournament takes 3 weeks. Well, because you got to play a game a week. Unlike basketball and hockey, where you do 3 games in 4 days, this takes a while. So they are technically in the state tournament now. Yeah,
so typically, to make it for the listeners to understand, is if you win your section, you are going to state. You're a state qualifier. Football's different. You don't actually go to the Prep Bowl until the last week or two. But
Prep Bowl is the championship game.
This is actually the state tournament coming up. Go ahead.
Yep, the first round games are at neutral sites. Then the next 2 rounds are both at the greenhouse down in Minneapolis there.
Nice.
So here we're going to start with 9-man. Here's the final rankings. We'll start with that just so you see the final seeds there for everybody. And then here we go. Dun-dun-dun. Red Rock Central High will play Wheaton. Mountain Iron Bowl in Kinnison County. They'll be playing there. Other side of the bracket, Spring Grove High and Hancock. And then Ogilvy and Fertile Beltrami. Now, you see those numbers are 1, 2, 5. That's their section, not their seed.
Okay. And there's 8 sections, okay?
But if you look back here on some of these, and it was kind of mentioned last year in the football too, some teams complained. 1 and 2 are playing each other in the first round in some of these sections.
Now, do they rotate that ahead of time? They know, I think, who's playing who, as far as I know.
I think they just kind of throw the sections out there and go here. And there you go. Now here's an example. Let's kind of look at some of these names here. You got Lester Prairie 1, Fillmore 2, and then you got Springfield and Murdoch Sunberg in the first round, Deer River, Minoman, and the Thunderbirds in the bottom half of that bracket on your left side of the bracket. Yeah, Fillmore and Lester Prairie, like we just said, 1, 2 are playing each other in the first round. That just happens to be their sections also, but that's Then Minnesota, last year's champ, and Breckenridge in the bottom.
Now,
half.
is that really the game to watch? There is Fillmore against Lester Prairie, because that's the true 1 versus 2 in the rankings.
Yeah, you feel right here, and then Minnesota's 10th, but they're the defending champions. So here you go. That left side of the bracket there, or right side of the bracket, I'm sorry, is one to watch.
In Jordan too.
Yes.
Wow.
All right, here we go. The 2As, and you look at some of these teams clustered here. Jackson County and Howard Lake Waverly Winstead in the first game. Moose Lake, Barnesville in the bottom half of your left side of the bracket there. Chatfield Blue Earth, Eden Valley Watkins, and Sauk Center. 3A, and kind of, Esco and Dilworth 1-2. Then you look at the bottom half, they're all kind of bundled there. Look who's playing in the bottom half of the bracket first round.
Oh,
Esco and Dilworth. So again, 1-2 right off the bat.
Okay.
Fairmont, St. Croix, Lutheran. And their side, Cannon Falls, Watertown Mayor, the Royals. And then Malacca and New England Spicer.
And
look back at the rankings.
And Andy, I don't know if you saw that Cannon Falls team, the number of points they're putting up.
Oh, yeah.
Is unreal the last 3 games.
Yep. But again, if you look back at the brackets, those teams are your bottom, 5 through 10 basically are those teams there. So it's going to be some fun games to watch. Here's your 4A rankings there at the middle or at the end of the season. Got Simley at Chisago Lakes High, the North Branch Area School and Rocori. Other side, Stewartville and Hutch, Academy of Holy Angels, and Zimmerman on your right side of the bracket.
Hutch will be tough to beat, I think.
They usually are, yeah. All right, now here's kind of remember some of these top 4s. Mankato West, St. Thomas, Elk River in 5A. St. Thomas and Montevideo right off the bat. Elk River, Moorhead. So these teams right off the bat. Rochester, Mankato West, Robbinsdale, Armstrong, and Rogers. Now to the big kids. The big populated schools. Again, look at some of these top 4 there. Maple Grove, Rosemont, Eden Prairie, Lakeville South. Quarterfinals, Stillwater, Lakeville South, Maple Grove, Eastridge, Eden Prairie, Shakopee, Rosemont, and Centennial. So that's how they all bracket out there.
So those games, this is all Friday night. This is going to be wild and woolly, especially
with the 11th. Yep.
With the weather. It's going to be interesting for these outdoor games.
Yep, 10th and 11th there. Yep. Hey, girls volleyball is coming up here. Here we go. They are going on. I do not have their rankings because they came out late. I did see one of them come up. It was Minnesota and Mayor Lutheran are the 1 and 2 seeds in their section. Yet funny, in the last, counting the COVID year with no winner in there, one of those 2 schools has won it the last 4 or 5 years. So watch for the girls volleyball. I will have those on the social media this week. Boys and girls soccer. Here we go. There's the champions for boys. It is Providence Academy and St. Anthony on one side, Yep, and St. Anthony won that game. Then Breck and St. Paul Academy. St. Paul Academy wins that. St. Anthony Village is your Class A champion.
Excellent.
Academy of Holy Angels is your Class AA champ. And 3A is Rosemont over Edina. And was it so you just gotta look at those there. See how these are actually seeded. So you see a random draw team made it, and a 5 seed made it on the left side there.
Okay.
So what they do is they rank the top 5 teams, kind of like they do with hockey and basketball. They rank the top 5. The other 3 are quote unquote random draw.
It's I think wrestling also for the team.
Yep.
The 8 that make it, they rank the top 5, and the rest are just thrown into a pool.
Yep.
Fair enough, I guess.
Gals soccer, here we go. And here's one. Look at 3 of the 4 teams were random draw. So let's hear it for the seeding system there. St. Paul Academy boys over St. I think I said boys last time. It was the girls last one. Here we go. That's the winners there. De La Salle over Hill Murray. NY Zeta over Woodbury. Northern Sun, that's like Beaver territory. Beavs did win on football over the weekend, and so did Minnesota Duluth. So that means the Beavs keep their little lead there. One game with just a couple to go. Overall standings, Beavs still got it, tied with Minnesota State and Wayne State for conference. 8 wins in a row for Bemidji State. So,
yeah, and you called it, I think.
0-2, I said just like Aaron Rodgers years ago, just relax. Now all has turned out well.
Yeah.
Beaver hockey, the boys. Okay, now we kind of explain a few things here. It was a tie, but a shootout loss. We'll get back to that later. Then a win against Ferris State. Then they got Northern Michigan coming up. So here's the standings, and here's a point explanation. And I see it all the time on there, and I'm putting it out more as a reminder for some or explanation for the new ones. Teams are awarded 3 points for each conference win in regulation, 2 points for an overtime or shootout win, and 1 point for an overtime or shootout loss. Overtime wins and losses appears both a win and loss column, as well as in the OTW and OTL column for overtime wins and losses. So lost in the shootout. So you see the Beavs are still conference 2-0-2, but shootout wins, they only have 1.
Okay.
Their state has 1. So it was a tie for the 2 part for the 2-0-2, but they lost in the shootout. Tiebreakers, the team according the most number of points. That's why those ties are important and everything else. So
let's see.
It's that time of year. Basketball, Beaver basketball. Boys got a couple against Nebraska and Southern Arkansas, then Concordia. And the gals start with Valley State, Maysville State, and Crookston starts their season. I know it goes kind of late there, but it's that time of year. Basketball. Missouri Valley. That would be Bison football. Bison, yeah, they won. Western Illinois 0-9, 0-6 on the year, so the Bison kind of took some frustration out on them there a little bit. The Jackrabbits won by 3 on a last-second field goal. So close yet, so far away. Beavs got 2 games, or I'm sorry, the Bison got 2 games left. They will not win the conference. They're holding their own there, though. And they'll tie, but South Dakota State's got the tiebreaker, so is what it is. And NDSU basketball, here's the boys' schedule. They took care of Crookston in a game on Wednesday. And look at the start there. Number 10, Arkansas, at number 5, Kansas. Playing the big kids right off the bat. And then they come home to play Pacific.
Wow. Yeah, that's a tough schedule on the road.
Yeah, get those big games out of the way, though. See what you're made of. The Gals are at Montana, then home against Maysville, Valley State. And then the Gophers going up to Fargo for the Gals November 17. So that's next Thursday. And some more Gopher stuff. Yeah, they beat Nebraska in football. They got Northwestern coming up. Kind of, this is one part about Big Ten basketball or Big Ten football or big NCAA football. There's so many bowl games, but it's like, oh, yay, we could be in the Pinstripe Bowl or the Music City Bowl or something. And really, if you're not winning your division and being in one of the big ones, to me, it's just another exhibition game. I just kind of lose interest.
Yep.
Hockey. Notre Dame swept them. That makes me smile. Then you got Penn State coming up. Just because they're not ranked, they're still Penn State. Don't take anyone too lightly. Here's the standings. As you see, Penn State is the first. We're tied for second with Ohio State. So this Penn State game is going to be tough. When you think Big Ten hockey, you don't exactly think Penn State. But
no.
And here's one stat I like look at this. This kind of makes me smile. Wisconsin's 7th out of our 7 teams. 2-8 overall. Goals against 32, goals for 16. That just kind of makes me smile too. Trying to find joy in this cruddy time of year.
Oh yes.
Gals took things up in the Duluth. Then they got a game tonight against St. Cloud State. It's the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame Museum Women's Face-Off Classic. That's going on opposite us. I appreciate you probably listening, watching the hockey game, and you'll check us out afterwards. Then they got number 3 Wisconsin coming up, so that should be a good match in Madison next weekend. And there is the standings for the gals for hockey. Ohio State, Minnesota, Wisconsin. Usually the top 3 all the time anyway. NASCAR did crown their champion over the weekend. It was Joey Logano. He did win the race. He won the thing. And this is why I just want to point out right here for NASCAR one thing. Of course, NASCAR races are all outdoors. And look at the money NASCAR has for it to be outdoor and still have confetti falling. That's the money right there they're spending. There was a sad passing in NASCAR. Joe Gibbs, former Redskins coach who owns a NASCAR team, Joe Gibbs Racing. His son, father of Ty Gibbs, the driver, did pass away over the weekend. Ty did not race over the weekend, so condolences to the Gibbs family. Major League Baseball. Here we go. Got to get ready now. Get serious. You see that date there, Dan?
Yes.
Pitchers and catchers can report then.
The countdown is on.
Yes. Pitchers and catchers can report on that important day, February 14th, 2023. It's a beautiful thing. If I recall, usually the weekend before or after that is the Daytona 500 also. So big week for me. Pitchers and catchers and NASCAR. Beautiful time of year. There's Dusty. He's got a championship now.
Oh, yes.
Kind of glad for that. Got that monkey off his back. And now here's the game recap. Game 1, Phillies took it. Then the Astros came back. Then they went to Philadelphia after the rain out, 2 days off. Philly blew up. And right after the Astros did that no-hitter in Game 4, they just kind of took over. I think they just, I don't know, just knocked Philadelphia off their rocker and just they got no hit, and they were just thinking too much afterwards or what. Say what you will about the Phillies being an 88-win team making the World Series. I'm not making excuses. Everybody knows I am not a big Philly fan at all. But the rules this year helped them a lot. And I'm not making excuses. These are the rules. Deal with them. Things that helped the Phillies this year, and they still won just 88 games. The universal DH helped them because Bryce Harper had a bad elbow most of the year where he couldn't play the outfield. So he was still allowed to DH and bat. So now, did that help Philadelphia? Who knows? Maybe they could have got if they didn't have the DH, could he have gotten healthy sooner because he wasn't batting? Who knows? But that's the rules. You play with them. There you go. So there's the World Series is over. Like I said, the countdown begins. All right. The Mets.
Uh-oh.
So, I'm getting my music ready here. Hold on.
Here we go.
We're getting all excited. These are the players that are eligible for on the 11-man roster. These 11 for free agency. Now, I'm not going to. You all can read, and those of you online, you could look at or listening, you can look it up. All but 2 of them are pitchers. And Brandon Nemo, in my opinion, is a high priority. They've said Diaz and Nemo were their big priorities. Here we go.
Yes.
The trumpets. Edwin Diaz is signed. We can hear that a lot now from Citi Field this year. The Mets signed Diaz 5 years, $102 million.
I admit I didn't know much of Diaz coming into the season, Andy, but I did have him on my fantasy baseball, which helped me do very well this year. But I'm now an Edwin Diaz fan.
Yes.
He's a stud.
He's the man. What about DeGrom? This is from a couple days ago in the paper. Several Mets have contracts to free agency. DeGrom, if he was to opt out of his fully guaranteed year of $32.5 million of his current contract, he has stated on multiple occasions that he intends to do so. And as of today, DeGrom did officially opt out, making him a free agent.
Interesting. Now, like you said, we got the countdown, Andy, coming on to pitchers and catchers reporting next year. But once the World Series ends, the clock begins for a lot of these things. So each of the 30 major league teams have 5 days, 5-day window to get all their folks with options, either opting in, opting out, to get those out of the way, because the following week, then they're on the deadline to solidify the 40-man roster. So like your sheet showed before, the Mets have a lot of work to do with getting those either those guys on or off, or what's going to happen with them. And then the week after that is the Rule 5, the pool of players that go to the Rule 5. So the GMs and the management here, the front office, it's a very busy time of the year once that World Series ends, because now all the teams are on a clock to make moves.
Yeah, and T.J. Walker, also the Mets relief pitcher, has opted out. So Walker's a good pitcher. Very good pitcher. He was great with the Mets. Is he be an ace somewhere? No. He'd be an ace 2 or 3. So he could probably be an ace here because, our pitching staff is horrible. Here by meaning the Twins.
Easy now. Easy.
What? Meaning we don't have the big name. We don't have we've been putting it together unless we got Ryan. Okay, I'm sorry. We got Ryan. We got our stud there. So Walker would probably still be a 2 behind him. Walker be a 3 or 2 for a lot of teams, and he could be the nice missing piece for some teams. He could be that one puts you over. He doesn't have the playoff experience. He doesn't have all this and that, but take it for what it's worth, he's got Mets experience. So he's been picking DeGrom's brain. He's picking Scherzer's brain this last year. So he could be a nice addition to have because he's out of their shadow now. That's the pitchers you want to get sometimes. The guy who's a third on a team with a lot of studs, maybe he is better. He's just been in their shadow and you can't see it. Steve Avery with the Braves back in the 80s is a great example. Here's some other pitchers the Mets have to worry about. The one big name on there, let's see, there's TJ Walker I mentioned right there. Vogelbach, Daniel, $1.5 million option for him this year. He's a DH, so we got it in both leagues now. He would be nice in a Twins uniform. Big power left-handed hitter in our ballpark here, down at the Target Field, the ballpark. There, I got it out. He'd be a nice one here. He's decent. He could play first on Sunday afternoons. We have to give someone a rest. And now that I see the Twins let Miguel Sano go, he could maybe fill in the shoes they wanted Sano to do. Come here, get 25, 30 homers. He'll bat 250, 260, but you know what? That's what your DH is supposed to do. Bat 260, 270, and hit you 25 home runs. If we can get that for the Twins, I'd be ecstatic.
Now, John Curtis up there. Also a former Twin, right?
Yes, same John Curtis. Rehabbing for Tommy John. So,
yes.
Do you want to, one other name for the Mets I was just reading about beforehand too is Trey Turner from the Dodgers, shortstop. Everybody's going, whoa. You just gave Lindor how many millions of dollars? Right. Trey Turner could go back to center field where he originally played. When he was with Washington. So he'd go to center field, and that'd be under the assumption that the Mets couldn't re-sign Nemo. So it's kind of this whole domino effect. But you can't really sit and wait and watch and play chicken and see who else signs who. Now, granted, Trey Turner's going to be another maybe $100 million guy, $80 million guy. But do you sign Nemo for $50 million instead for so many years? What's that's the thing. You sit wait too long, you lose both of them. So that's where that's where some guys get overpaid sometimes. Let's use Nemo for example. Say the Mets say, "Yeah, we want him $60 million for 3 years." Well, he's a bust. He goes, Buxton on you, just is injured and just is not worth the money. Oh, you should have got Turner. Should we? Pay $30 million more a year or for a few years for a guy who are you moving back to center field? So,
yeah, it's interesting because you look at teams that have options to get big buck guys or bring up someone that's new. Now look at the Astros in the shortstop situation. They give up Correa goes to Minnesota for $35 million. They bring up a guy named Pena, Jeremy Pena.
Yep.
Rookie. Does phenomenal. Wins the American League. Was he the ALDS MVP? Or the AL?
So, yeah. Yep.
And then went on to be the World Series MVP, all for a rookie who took a superstar spot. So you never know would you catch a lightning in the bottle there, Andy, but it's always good to get these veteran guys too, just for their experience.
Yep. That's the thing. That's what you're trading off for. What do you get? I think when we had our shortstop here from them, would the Astros still want it with them? Who knows? You never know.
Say that again.
If the Astros didn't trade the shortstop or didn't let that shortstop go to here, do they still win the World Series?
Oh yes, gotcha. And some have even gone as far as to say for next year, maybe the Astros go and pay the big bucks to get him back and move him to third base and have both of those guys on the left side of your infield.
Yep.
Who knows, but it'll be interesting. But I do have updates once you're done.
I have done it. So I'd show that we got the Sports and Songs podcast.com. There's our social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, both Sports and Songs 1. On Instagram, it says Sports and Songs. Search us on YouTube, Sports and Songs Podcast.
Yeah, there's all of our spots there to check us out. And we're all over pretty much on social media. Now, the Twins had some moves themselves. The Twins we have this 5-day cutoff for the options. And so they had an option with Chris Archer. Let him go. Dylan Bundy, let him go. Miguel Sano, I saw in the newspaper it said it was the tumultuous 8 years with the Twins. I thought that was fair enough. It was tumultuous. He was good. It was a very good, a stud coming up in the minors. There wasn't many athletes ever as good as what Miguel Sano did as a prospect, but never pulled it together. So he'll be a free agent. Carlos Correa had the actual option to opt out from the Twins, and he did that. So those 4 guys are gone. Sonny Gray, they did pick up the option to bring him back. And with Sonny Gray, it'll be interesting because now he's a guy that's worth it and a veteran and could be the ace and could anchor the whole staff. And when the Twins looking at their starters for next year with Kenta Maeda coming back, the Tyler Mahle, the former Cincinnati Reds stud, will be healthy next year. And we still got Joe Ryan, who was our ace essentially this year, could be like a number 4 guy, and Bailey Ober rounding out the top 5. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the offseason here. But I think the Archer and Bundy, those moves were made very easy because the Twins, they weren't difficult decisions to make. There were slam dunks. Keep Sonny Gray, get rid of all the other rest, and now it can start cleaning up that 40-man roster. It'll be fun, though. Now, the other news that I've got is Arizona fall baseball.
Yes.
For those that don't know, the Arizona Fall League is when the minor league system shuts down, and that each of the teams have all their top 30 prospects, the great studs of the future for each of those teams. They send, I think, between 6 and 8 guys each team to the Fall League to play, and it's the best of the best, the cream of the crop. There are really 200 players in that Fall League is all that plays out of 3,100 players in minor league baseball. So it's the top 7% cream of the crop. And I think they play a 33 game schedule in Mesa in Arizona. They have 1 week to go. This week's their final. I think there's 3 games left for each team, and then they're done. The top 2 teams, they play a playoff and it's over. It doesn't get much publicity on the news this time of year. World Series is going on. Everyone's following football, but the fall league is fun to watch. I know you watch a lot of the Korean league, a lot of the overseas baseball, Australia league as well. But this is another one that's good to watch. They've been around since 1992. It's a feeder program to get these guys, the elites, to move up to that next level. Or if they can't compete and they really stink it up at this level, you'll know kind of where you're at with these guys because it's the top of the top. There's 1 week to go. They had an all-star. I mean, they had a home run derby Saturday, Andy. First time they pick a few guys. They do a home run derby there the night before the all-star game, and it's played out much like the major league. I don't know if it was a success or not, but it's fun to see those kind of things going on as well. They did have the all-star game with the fall league all-stars. 2 guys were selected from the Twins. One couldn't make it, I think, due to injuries, so they had a substitute go in. So we had two guys from the Twins franchise, both in Double-A currently, went to the All-Star game and did well. But guys to note, this Austin Martin shortstop the Twins have is in the top 5 in about 6 different offensive categories in the fall league. Shortstop extraordinaire. He can hit for power, average, stolen base, runs scored. He's leading a ton of categories, and he's hitting 380 right now. The second baseman that we had that played in the All-Star game is hitting 365 and is also up there tearing it up in many offensive categories with all these top players. There's only 210 really on all these teams playing, and we got 2 Twins that are just tearing it up. That one, Austin Martin, is a shortstop. So we got Royce Lewis. We got this Austin Martin coming up. Twins are probably still going to look for a shortstop for a 1-year carryover, but who knows what they do with that. I hope they don't entertain bringing back Correa, but we got some guys coming up.
Maybe have to trade Turner for $50 million 1 year and see if he does it. You
never know. It'll be interesting because in 2 years or at the latter second half of next season, that Austin Martin I think will be ready to come up. Royce Lewis will be all healed from his injury, and so we'll have 2 guys potentially ready to go. And the other guy that's doing real well is a second baseman. So we've got guys a couple years out. It'll be interesting to see what all these teams do with their 40-man roster.
And this fall league, that's not like you hear guys say they go play winter ball or Mexican ball or something else like that. That's the guy who played A-ball, Double-A, Triple-A, who's maybe coming off an injury, wants to rehab it. He'll go there, not the fall league. Fall league's a little more competitive. The Mexican leagues or winter ball, I don't want to say it's spring training attitude, but they're still competitive. They want to win, do well. Don't get me wrong, but it's okay to rehab an injury there, not in the fall.
It's more about getting reps, or if you're getting shifted to a new position, or if you're coming off an injury, like you said, it's to get more work on things that you want to work on, more as a developmental thing.
Yes.
This Arizona Fall Ball League is the cream of the crop. It's almost like watching a 33 game All-Star game with all the teams playing 30 games. Yeah. That's an extra whole month, and these guys have already played over 100 games this year. So they're also getting tired at this stage of the game and getting worn down. But this is the cream of the crop. It'd be interesting. I was talking to the wife, Andy, to go down there maybe for a week and watch some of these games. I don't know if the tickets are free or if they're very cheap, but there's not many fans in the crowd for these games. But you're seeing some top talent, and they play down in, I don't know if it's Scottsdale, Mesa.
All the Cactus League's facilities,
the Cactus League sites, most of those sites they play at, and so they're all in a pretty close range, and but they play every day. So they had an All-Star game that they've done all the time. Home Run Derby was just new this year, but those will be the guys that you'll see in about 2 years on a day-to-day basis. Bryce Harper used to play, was out there. Mike Trout. The superstars all come from this league typically.
One more major league note I read today too. Angels are saying they will not be trading Ohtani.
I saw that.
I've heard a lot of other teams in the past say, we're not trading so-and-so, and 2 weeks
later. That could be just bait, right? Or is that just gamesmanship? Or
who knows? They're saying they're not, but you know what? You never say never in any sport. Someone calls up and waves enough prospects in front of you. If you're the Angels, the Angels might be one of those teams. You got 2 guys, 2 studs right there with Ohtani and with Trout, did they go after a Trey Turner? Did they go after, DeGrom? Did they,
It's
knows?
interesting. I think it's interesting whenever the front office says we're not going to trade someone. It perks up my ears because more than likely now that's saying that they are without saying it to generate interest, because now you're beefing up the stock, the price.
Especially with all the rips that the Angels have had, how you got these studs and you're doing nothing. Do you blow the whole thing up and start over instead of paying two big names and getting that bad press? Or do you get the bad press of going, you traded everybody? Okay, the Tigers, they lost 100 games for 2 years in a row. They finally made the World Series. Look at all the pitchers that were on that staff. Scherzer, Verlander, all their studs have gone on to great things from that. The Astros did that a few years ago. Blew it up and just basically called up their AAA team one year. And lost 100 games, and look where that's got them recently. Do the Angels do that?
It's interesting. Like I say, there's two things the teams are going for. You either consider yourself successful by how many wins and how many World Series you have, or you're successful from the bottom line financial. You may lose 100 games every single year, but you're you're making the most money. Or you may be losing the most money, but yet winning. What are you really after there is the question. Yep. You want a balance, of course, but you are in business, and you are in business to make money. These are not non-for-profit teams. Although they're trying to win games, they're watching their bottom line very closely as well. Now, Andy, we got a local point to make up here tonight. I forgot that this coming Sunday, Gopher basketball, women's basketball. Lehigh comes to town to play Gophers at Williams Arena. And guess who is the big top recruit coming out of Chaska last year was Mallory Heyer.
That's right.
High school. She's now with the Gophers as a freshman. 2 years ago, their top recruit was Kaylee Van Epps, who went to Lehigh. Kaylee and Lehigh will be coming on Sunday over to Williams Arena to play the Golden Gophers in an exhibition preseason Gopher women's basketball. You'll have a chance to see two Gopher star players in varsity as a prep on the big court in Williams Arena. So they're both, I think, bringing large groups of people and fan buses and whatnot from fans to watch those two play on the same court.
And also, we talked about the high school football. Like I said, the first round are at neutral sites. The next two rounds are at U.S. Bank. We both know from going last year. And don't worry about it. Get your tickets, plenty of seating, plenty of room. If you like high school football, make a day of it. Catch 2-3 games. And since there's not many people there, parking's not an issue. The only thing that's an issue is they still charge you $9 for a water and $15 for a hot dog or whatever it was. But they still pay the big boy prices.
But you can, like you say, go there early, spread out with the newspaper and some and get some work done on the side. Watch a little football and spend the afternoon there. It's a great environment, and it's not crowded, and you're not getting hustled and bustled by all the people. It's not jam packed, but it's great football, and it's a great stadium to go to.
Yep. Fun times.
All right, so I've got a trivia answer, Andy.
All right, what was the question again?
Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Mascot for the Astros. They've had him for a while. Not many know the name. What's the name of this mascot, Andy?
Huey. Okay, Houston,
nope.
Huey.
It does pay homage there to the space station in NASA. The mascot's name is Orbit.
Orbit. Okay.
That's Orbit for you there on the screen, folks.
There you go.
Trivia question. It's more useless knowledge, Andy. It's more of a.
That's why we're here.
But that's why we're here.
Yeah. Now, tomorrow, special episode day.
Yeah, that'll be a good one to tune into.
Tomorrow's rapid drop tomorrow, so we'll have this one. Special episode tomorrow. Songs on Thursday, and then season 4.
Season 4 will kick off next week. We've had a blast. We've had fun doing this. Once again, we're not getting paid. We're doing this as a volunteer. We do it because we love it. And it's a good time. It's a good time to get these episodes out there and provide updates.
Yes.
All right, everyone. Have a good week.
All right. Thanks. See ya.